Hey everyone, welcome back to the Home Reset Challenge. We're on day 11. We're continuing in kids' clothes. Yesterday I gave you a lot of tips about having a growth bin when they outgrow their clothes, what you can put it in as soon as you notice that they're outgrowing it. That way you have just a constant system. Today I'm going to be working in my daughter's room, which is kind of the most neglected space as of now, just because she's not really sleeping in her room. I'm not checking in on it every night because she's sleeping in the other room with the boys. And so it just, without a daily touch up, it's gotten even further behind. So I'm seeing some pants that are actually on the play kitchen right now that's in her room. Her room has just kind of been pushed to the back. We were going to update it, things like that, and just now it hasn't. And so, just being honest with you, this is where we are. This is kind of a catch-all room at the moment in our home. And so I'm going to just kind of show you how I would do it in this space and in a little bit of a different way. I don't have a new bin for her growth, like the clothes that she grows out of. She's my only girl, so there's not an immediate need for all of the girl clothes. So I'm not keeping all of the girl clothes like I am with the boys. Like I have boys to pass it on to, right? So I'm not keeping a ton of her clothes. I'm only being very, very selective. Also, so if you don't have bins, you don't have that option to have your, okay, they're growing out of these clothes, let me just put them here, or sorting it as you go. You can use boxes like diaper boxes, trash boxes, Amazon boxes, or in this case, I just used a bag. I was in a hurry. Last time I was in here, we were going through her clothes. I just was in a hurry. I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't have a new bin. And so we were just sorting it. There were actually two bags. One is, hey, I think that either I want to keep them or maybe I want to sell them. So they're like the keeps, right? And then there are other ones that I'm like, okay, these aren't worth either keeping or selling, so I'm going to go ahead and donate those, right? They're in good condition, but it's just not worth my time. So I'm going to go ahead and donate them. So that's what these are right here. These are just clothes to get rid of. So that's why this is clutter. I'm going to kind of explain my clutter, and then I'm going to talk through what I'm going to do about it, okay? So I have some cute little pictures right here because, like I said, we were trying to redo her room, but because she's not sleeping in it, and we've talked about redoing her room as motivation, and she's like, I don't want to sleep by myself. So there's not been a lot of motivation for us to finish out this room because she's still not going to sleep in it, even if we put all this work into it. So that's why it's on pause, but those are going to be decorative items, for them. I'll show you. They're just so cute. When we got our pictures done, they were like, we want to do this picture. And I promise if they ever were in a band, I think that this would be one of their little album pictures because it's so cute. So anyway, that's also what this is. It's a whole bin full of decorative items that I might use in this room. I was setting them aside thinking I would. The candlesticks are not. The candlesticks have just been floating because I haven't found where I want them. And let's talk about that for just a minute. That's what clutter is. Unmade or put off decisions. So things are just collecting because I haven't dealt with them yet. I haven't decided what I want to do with them, or I'm not ready to make those decisions yet, or I'm just tired, I don't want to do it. Something like that. A delay in making decisions is actually what creates this clutter. If I was putting things away, if I was putting it where it goes, then there wouldn't be clutter because it would be where it goes. But we know that's just not what happens all the time in life. We can get better about it, like, our everyday items, if we have a spot for it and we put it in a convenient spot so that it automatically just goes where it's supposed to go, that's wonderful. And we want to create systems like that the best we can. But we also have to give grace that as life is happening, things are going to be out of place or things are going to have to wait. Like, I'm not going to put dealing with this clutter over, okay, I need to feed my children now, right? Like, okay, I did it for a little bit, we're a little bit late on lunch or dinner or something like that, but I'm not going to just completely dismiss everybody's needs in the home in order to deal with every single bit of clutter in my home. That would take forever, and it's always going to keep collecting. So what we have to do is just, when we have time, or if we're being intentional, to make decisions and remove some of that clutter as we go, okay? Just like we're doing for 30 minutes, okay? We're setting an end time. We're going to do what we can in 30 minutes, and that's the progress that we're going to do, okay? So right now we have this, and I told you I still am not ready to make a decision on this yet because the room is not ready for me to put things on it yet. So at least having it in a container is going to be helpful. Now, if you're working on this space and you're trying to update it and you're not wanting to settle right now, you're wanting to be intentional, it's time. What you could also do is if this stuff is still having to wait for a few days or a few weeks, then put it in something opaque and not clear. If you put something like this and you have some darker bins where you can't see the items in it as it's waiting, that's going to actually give you a better feeling than seeing individual items and seeing the clutter. So this can be your like in between when you're wanting to get to something and you're just not able to at that time. Like I said, we've got 30 minutes. We're trying to maximize our time. All right. I did say I was going to focus on clothes, so I'm going to do that. Here I have two. Let me see. I'm going to angle it just a little bit. All right. So these are the shelves that need to go up. So see, this is some of the clutter. In the summer, she has to have a fan, so it just needs to be in a better spot. Okay. Also, so she likes the American Girl doll stuff, but it's just hers, and so we let her have these items in her closet. She's kind of made a little house here. She actually told me when I told her, hey, I'm going to do your room today. Is there anything, you want me to know or move around or something? And she started talking about all her doll stuff. And I was like, well, that's not what I'm going to focus on today, but I hear you. So we got to rearrange that. But so I have two hanging items. She's 6. So when you start thinking about organizing your space, start thinking about how do you want it to function? Do you want to be the one who deals with the clothes all the time? Or is it time that your child takes on that responsibility and helps in some way? So my 6-year-old has been hanging up her clothes. She's not quite ready to do all of the folding. It's a little much for her at times. So I usually help file them and do that for her because I want that system to stay the way it is so that when I'm looking for something, I can find it for her. And so I don't mind doing that because I want it a certain way. For her skill set, where she's at, she could do it, but she's not going to do it quite the way I need it. So I've let her not do that. But for hanging, she absolutely can hang her clothes. So I usually, when I bring up her laundry, I ask her to come over and I say, okay, you hang up your clothes and I'm going to be putting them away in the drawer. So we kind of do it together. And then if she needs help, I can help her with anything. But also at that time, I talked about this yesterday, when you do laundry, when you're putting it away, well, even when you're folding it, go ahead and assess, are these still in good condition? Does she still like these? Is this something she's grown out of? Start asking yourself while you're folding it, because 1, why even fold it if it's something you're going to get rid of? And then 2, you can already start removing those items before you even deal with it in the laundry, or in your space. So usually when we're up here together, and this is every other time or so, just kind of when I feel like it needs it, then I'll start asking her as we're putting the things away before we hang them up. I'm like, do you still wear it? Actually, everything that's left in here, because that's the best time. Right? So these are clothes that she didn't wear last laundry cycle. Now in this case, it's because they're spring clothes and I have them up higher. So that's why they're here. But I would go through it, right? I would start looking at sizes. And because I'm doing it every time, there's not usually as much to get rid of, but I'm doing it every time, there's not a ton of clothes to go through. And that's very helpful for me, because if I just get behind on it, then I might end up having clothes from like when she was 2 to when she was 6, and that's too much for a closet space. We're not even using all of that, and it's not the best use of our home, not the best use of our time and our energy to like figure out which size she's still in. So at this point, she's getting into the next size. She's going to turn 7 soon. So I can already see her hitting this growth spurt. We've only been in like 6s for a little bit, but we're about to move into that 7, 8. So there are some items that still say 5T or something on them because she's tiny, and some of the clothes will still fit her for a while. But at this point, like anything that's 5T is usually way too small. And so I've got to remove those items. The other day, she was sitting in the living room, and I was giving her some new shorts, and she was like, Mom, these don't fit me anymore. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Thanks for telling me. So then I can go ahead and remove those shorts, and I'm not going to keep putting them in your drawer, and we can already just go ahead and donate it, get rid of it. I can make that decision right then, right? But what will help you is if you already have some boxes, bags, bins in her closet or in your kid's closet where you can already put it somewhere immediately when you make that decision, rather than just like piling it up and then forgetting what that pile means later. I've done that. It's way more frustrating. So if you already have something in place, which I have that system better in my boys' room, but they're napping. So I'm going to make a video in their room and I'll post that tomorrow, just because I can't do it live because it's their nap time. So their system's is better and it works well. And that's what I strongly suggest. But if you can't, make do with what you have. That's perfectly fine. Just might not be as polished as you want it to. And that's fine. So with her clothes, the first thing I'm doing is going to go through sizes. Okay. So this actually says 5T. This is one of the examples. But if you see, it's a very flowy dress. It's not very tight on her. And so she's been able to wear this one longer. In fact, I think she wore it last week. She really, really likes it. And so I'm not going to get rid of that one. She likes it. That's something I haven't told you guys yet. If your kid loves it, you really, really consider before you get rid of something if they love it. Actually, I have a spot. Where is it? I might have moved it already. She really loves clothes. She's very fancy. She's very particular. She expresses herself through her outfits a lot of times. And there have been some clothes that she's like, Mom, can I have this in my sentimental bin? And it seems kind of silly to me because that's a lot. Like, I can't put all of her clothes in the sentimental bin. But I do save some of the girl clothes because we don't know if we're done having kids. We want to adopt and do foster care, stuff like that. We might need those clothes. So I'm not getting rid of every single thing because I know that's a near future goal, and I know that's in our plans. So I allow her to pick some of those to save. And then every once in a while, if it's an outfit that's so her, we do put it in a sentimental bin. We have this one yellow jumper from, I think it's a 3T. And we called it her sassy jumper because for whatever reason, when she wore it, she just was spicy, and not in like a rude way, but in like a funny, spunky way. And so it just became this joke. We were like, oh, you got your sassy jumper on. And it just became such a thing that we like laughed about with her, that when I see that outfit, it's memorable, and I want her to have it in her memory bin. And that would be an outfit that would be really, really funny, that if she has kids one day, she has a little girl one day, to put her in the same sassy jumper that she had. That'd be cute. But I don't want to do that with every item. If every item is important, then nothing's important. It becomes overwhelming. And when you're thinking, oh, I want to pass this on to my kids, they might want this one day, be very, very picky about it, because you want it to be a blessing to them. You want it to be something that is sweet to them. You don't want it to be something so overwhelming that they can't even go through it or look at it because it's too much stuff for them to process, okay? So just be picky about what you really save for your kid. And I've mentioned the sentimental bin. If you don't have that, it is such a huge help for us. We just have these clear bins. Each kid has one, and it allows everybody in our family room to be sentimental and to save something, because the last thing I want to do is just get rid of all my kids' stuff and they have nothing that means anything to them later. But like I said, I don't want to overwhelm them with everything either. There's no reason for me to keep everything they have. Sometimes to help me with decluttering, I picture that. Okay, if I keep everything, do I have room for that? Is that realistic? Is that reasonable? Is that the best use of my home in this season to keep everything of past seasons and seasons to come? No, it's not. Okay, even if I had a huge giant attic, there's no reason for my attic to be full of children's clothes that my children don't fit anymore, or that they're not even going to go to a next kid, things like that. Okay, so just try to imagine that. Anytime you start collecting, you just want to think about the end goal, the end result. Do you have room in your home to collect every item that you're trying to collect? Okay. And then use those sentimental bins to give yourself a limit. Right now, we have one bin for each person in our family. My husband and I, we went through tons of sentimental stuff when we were on our big journey of decluttering, and we really narrowed it down. There's a little bit of wiggle room there because I had some items that were like too big to fit in that bin. And that's okay because I've still put a limit on it, right? If my kids get older and it becomes very, very difficult for the items to stay in one bin, then allowing myself a second bin is that going to be okay? Is that what I want to make space for in my home? Do I have the room to do that? Does that feel, joyful and like a blessing to them? Or do I start to feel already like, no, that's a limit, right? But allowing myself to make the decisions and feel the freedom and the joy in doing so is what we really want to focus on. That's my favorite thing about simple living, decluttering, minimalism, or whatever, is focusing on who I am in this season, focusing on the joy and the contentment of my home in this season, of who I am in this season, and really leaning into those things and even highlighting them so that your home is full of the things you love and it's not being hidden by the things that you don't care about. And that to me has been so empowering and so helpful because I could get rid of a lot of the guilt that was associated with stuff I was keeping, and that has felt really good. Okay. I think that's going to be enough tips for today. Continuing to go through their spaces, getting rid of clothes that they've outgrown, having a system for that is going to be very important before you just start taking things out. We talked about trash bags. You're already planning on donating items. If you've been doing the challenge all 11 days, then go ahead and just put them directly in that trash bag. Take it directly to your car. Just already get it out of the space, okay? And then anything that you're keeping long term, maybe so put it in a sentimental box in a bin, or go ahead and there's consignment sales ready, or if you're going to try to sell it at Once Upon a Child, even though they don't give you as much as you think that you should get. But if you're going to try to do that, then that needs to be something that's still on the radar, like very, very soon, happening by the end of this month. You're trying to get that stuff out. You don't want to just keep delaying the decisions, okay? I did that at one point. I tried to save it all for the consignment sale. I missed it. Had to say I was saving it for the next one, save it for the next one. I promise I saved it for like 3, and finally it was so much stuff I couldn't deal with it, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to sell all of this because I'm so overwhelmed. I'm donating it, right? Donated it, and then I was like, okay, now I can start again, right? If now I think I can handle the new clothes that we're getting rid of, because the kids' clothes are just always coming, right? So there's always clothes to donate. There's always clothes to sell. I can restart the next time, okay? But this time, if it's going to be too much, just be very picky and get the rest of it out, okay? Free yourself of the guilt. Do it as soon as you can after they're growing out of something, so that you can't get too attached to all the clothes, okay? Okay, that's all I have for you today. Like I said, I'm going to make a video in the boys' room to kind of show you that system and how it works a little bit better in there. But it's going to be a video since it's during nap time. Okay, I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.